Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Andidi Mulyana from Krasi, and on this video, I will explain about psychoanalysis. Okay, how does psychoanalysis deal with human behavior? Psychoanalysis suggests that people can experience catharsis and gain insight into their current state of mind by bridging in the content of the unconscious into conscious awareness. Through this process, a person can find relief from a psychological distress. Psychoanalysis also suggests that a person's behavior is influenced by their unconscious drivers. And then emotional and psychological problems such as depression and anxiety are often rooted in conflict between the conscious and unconscious mind. Next, personality development is heavily influenced by the events of early childhood. Freud suggested that personality was largely set in stone by the age of 5. And the last one is people use defense mechanism to protect themselves from information contained in the unconscious. Skilled analysts can help a person bring certain aspects of their unconscious mind into their conscious awareness by using psychoanalytic strategies such as dream analysis and free association. Next, how does psychoanalysis deal with reading text? The second approach is reader-centered and derives from the secondary aspect of the other-centered approach. This approach is concerned with how text allow readers to symbolically play out desires and fantasies in the text they read. In this way, a text works like a substitute dream. Freud deploys the idea of forepleasure to explain the way in which the pleasure of the text make possible the release of still greater pressure arising from the physical source. In other words, fictional text stage fantasies over the possibility of unconscious pleasure and satisfaction, as he further explains. There are at least two ways in which Freudian psychoanalysis can be used as a method to analyze text. The first approach is other-centered, treating the text as the equivalent to an other stream. Freud identifies what he calls the class of dreams that have never been dreamed at all, dreams created by imaginative writers and ascribed into invented characters in the course of a story. The surface of a text, words and image, and etc., is regarded as the manifest content, while the latent content is the other hidden desires. Texts are read in this way to discover another's fantasies. These are seen as the real meaning of the text, according to Freud. Okay, and then how does psychoanalysis analyze culture? The primary psychological tool for psychoanalytic cultural analysis is depth psychology, which is integral to psychoanalysis, plus personality psychology, cross-cultural psychology, Jungian psychology, and social psychology. These tools are best suited to examine the full range of culture in all aspects. Additional specialist tools include psychology of religion, archetypal psychology, relational psychology, community psychology, And then, how does psychoanalysis analyze culture? The primary psychological tool for psychoanalytic cultural analysis is depth psychology, which is integral to psychoanalysis, plus personality psychology, cross-cultural psychology, Jungian psychology, and social psychology. These tools are best cited to examine the full range of culture in all aspects. Additional specialist tools include psychology of religion, archetypal psychology, relational psychology, community psychology, psychologies of liberation, peace psychology, and eco-psychology. Important elements of culture to be analyzed include religion, mythology, social network, social condition, public awareness, and discourse, and institution all of kinds. Socialization takes into account many of these factors and is critical to locating the person, relationship, society, and culture itself in time and place. Next, how is someone's dream is interpreted according to psychoanalysis perspective. Okay, interpretation is all about understanding the meaning of evidence and tracing the significance of things. Analysis can then be brought into tease or out the implicit reasons and assumptions that lie underneath the interpreted evidence. Interpretation of dreams is a masterclass in building telling analysis from ingenious interpretation of evidence. Freud worked from the assumption that all dreams were significant attempts by the unconscious to resolve conflicts. As a result, he argued they contain inalterate and disguised forms close to our past unconscious urges and desires. Each must be taken on its own terms to tease out what they really mean. Thus, Freud's theories have often been criticized. He remains the undisputed master of interpretation, with his critics suggesting that he was, if anything, too ingenious for his own good. The correct interpretation can only be arrived at on each occasion from the context. Again, context will be something established by the dreamer. The dreamwork's final process is secondary revision. This is the narrative placed by the dream, the translation of symbols into language and narrative. We fill in the gaps and introduce connection, and in doing so are often guilty of gross misunderstandings. Second, and more importantly, secondary revision is the final policing and channeling strategy of the ego, making meaning and coherence in an act of unconscious or consciously. And okay, next, how are Freud's psychoanalysis and Marxism the same, and how are they different? Both Marx and Freud were Jewish atheists who developed distinctive critiques of religion. In his 1965 book Freud and Philosophy, an essay on interpretation, the French philosopher Paul Ricoeur compared the two together with Friedrich. Characteristic their common method as the hermeneutics of suspicion. Certain philosophers who have revised Marx's concept of commodity fetishism in the liked or Freud's concept of sexual fetishism, theorizing a sexually charged relationship between a person and a manufactured object. Citation needed. Freud remained prolific up until his death in 1939. Civilization and its discontents, one of Fink's more influential work with particular reference to socio-cultural and political issues. What was published in 1930. The lesson is, how does Freud's psychoanalysis differ from other kinds of psychoanalysis? Freud's translation of psychoanalysis to textual analysis begins with a somewhat crude version of psychobiography and ends with a rather sophisticated account of how meanings are made. However, his suggestion about the real pleasure of reading may have a certain disabling effect on psychoanalytic criticism. That is of meaning depends on the association a reader brings to a text. What value can there be in psychoanalytic textual analysis when a psychoanalytic critic tells us that text really means X? The full logic of Freudian psychoanalysis is to say that this is only what it means to you. Thank you. Okay, I think that's all from me. Thank you, and the last essay, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.